What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Phantom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I am here with Anthony, Lori, and Mike. And we are discussing season 2, episode 2 of Marvel's What If series. The episode is What If Peter Quill Attacked Earth's Mightiest Heroes? But
Also,
before we
also known as the Boomer Avengers.
But before we get on with that, we are going to say hey to Lori because this is our first episode with her for 2024, and it's been a minute since we've had her on here. So hey, Lori.
Hi guys. Hi
Happy New Year,
Been a
everybody.
Lori.
long
Happy
Happy
New
time.
New Year.
Year. Hi to everybody out there in podcast land and YouTube land and all the different lands. It's good to be back.
Yay. So before we get started on episode 2, I know you missed out on our discussion for episode 1. So just briefly, what did you think about the premiere of season 2 for What If?
Okay, first of all, the entire season to me has a different type of a tone. The animation to me is a little bit better. I like the storylines and I like what they did, but it took me a minute to get my groove really watching it. This first episode, What If Nebula joined the Nova Corps? It was nice. I loved it, but you know what? I didn't need to see Blade Runner all over again. But it was good. That's pretty much all I have to say about it.
Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this second episode. What if Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes? So we talk about the way that they change some things around, of course, for What If, because What If is alternative stories. Like, what if something, as you said last week, Anthony, what if one little thing changed and it took the stories on a whole different path. And in this particular one, we're all familiar with Peter Quill's story from Guardians of the Galaxy, how when he was a kid, his mom died from cancer. He went outside in his grief, and Yondu and the Ravagers were there to pick him up. And we find out later that it's because Peter's dad, who is this celestial being named Ego, wanted them to kidnap him because he wanted Peter to kind of help him pretty much take over the fucking universe as always. And in this particular story, Yondu did not have a change of heart and did give Peter to his dad. So his dad is basically using his son to achieve his celestial domination over the entire universe. And that's kind of where the story picks up. So I remember when I was watching it the first time, I was sitting here like, I was a little confused by Peter because at the beginning, when we see him come down to Earth in his spaceship, he starts attacking the city of Manhattan. Like, he basically starts hurting people and doing things. And then later on, he was like, well, I just wanted to come home. I was just coming home. I thought if I came home, I wouldn't feel so alone. And I was like, those are two vastly different actions as far as what we saw. And then I thought about it when I was rewatching it tonight. I said, oh, he came down attacking Manhattan because y'all literally shot him out the sky. He was trying to go to Missouri. He wasn't even thinking about y'all.
Right. I was gonna say they drew first blood,
Which, I mean, you can't really blame them because this is an alien craft, and we don't have very good experiences with aliens in this Marvel universe. So
Wait, what do you mean? Because at this point, this is 1988.
Mm-hmm.
What aliens?
Okay. My
there are no
family
the Kree.
Nope. The only Kree here is Wendy Lawson right now, and she has revealed herself.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Yeah, so no, they just shot at something they had no idea.
Well, no.
Point of order. My family is from Missouri, and I was in Missouri at some time. But what was the year? 1988, 87, something like that. There's nothing there.
I was about to say, wait, do you mean you saw Ego there? You saw
No, but I might as well have, because if you think Illinois has nothing, Missouri really doesn't have anything. Really. I mean, if you want to look at the Mississippi River, yeah, and wave, but that's it. Other than St. Louis, nothing.
Well, I mean, they have some experience with aliens. I mean, if you pay attention to Agents of Shield and you think that they're canon, which I do, so. But I mean, I'm just saying.
Some canon, some not. Let's not have that discussion again.
Oh, jeez.
Whatever Kevin Feige says is canon.
Yeah,
they're playing fast and loose with the whole canon thing anyway. I got thoughts on that later.
Yeah, we won't even get into that conversation today. But I mean, you can't really blame them, even if they don't have any experience. If they don't have any negative experience with aliens, still it's aliens. They watch enough TV. They're probably not trying to take any chances. Which, I mean, with it being Peter Quill, Peter was trying to go to Missouri. He just wanted to be close to his mom. Okay, no threat there, as far as we know. But that could have been ego. That could have been somebody else. So you kind of have to.
Okay, so
first, ask questions later.
You can, but you see what happens. Because I don't know if this is before or after Stephen Hawking's statement about if there's an alien race sufficiently capable of traversing the stars, do you think you have the technology sufficient to defeat them? No, you don't.
Of course not.
You don't. So, shoot at it at your own risk.
Right.
Don't be upset when they start tearing Manhattan apart.
As they generally do.
Right.
Yep.
Why is Manhattan always a target?
We had this conversation before. I think was this part of Mike's panel, one of his panels from last year? The whole
was it the insurance one?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Or we may have discussed it here. Why is New
superhero
York?
law? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like liability. It's like how are you going to get liability insurance in New York when he gets attacked every damn time? It's like,
and it's not just in the MCU. Any
everywhere.
alien movie ever. It's always
like,
New York.
Yeah, it's like your house insurance is probably like costs more than your house. It's like they're not covering that because they got to rebuild it every week.
Yeah.
It's like okay, the Hulk threw a car through my window. Okay, we'll come fix it. Then you come back. Oh shit! While you're at it, Superman just came up through my basement. It's like it never ends. It never fucking ends.
Right. Oh wait, there's an alien spacecraft that just came out the sky. Like,
oh yeah, alien spacecraft dropped a cow in my house. God damn it! Had to call the roofers.
Yeah, but
never fucking ends.
Never. But so this episode, like you said, takes place in 1988, and the cast of characters that are dealing with this alien that has touched down and trying to figure things out. You have an older Peggy Carter, you have an older Howard Stark. They've brought in
they're basically they're the same age as the opening scene of the first Ant-Man movie where Hank Pym quits Shield. He comes in and punches dude and quits. Yep. It's basically the same. They're basically the same age as that.
Yeah, or maybe a couple of years after that.
Earlier.
Huh?
Maybe a year earlier than that.
Yeah. It's a year earlier because I think he actually quit in 89. So this is like a year before that. It's like he's still trying to get over Jane going into the whatever, going subatomic.
And this is supposed to be a year before Bucky. This is supposed to be a year before Bucky kills
Howard.
Spoiler, before he kills Howard. And,
sorry guys, if y'all haven't seen it, the Winter Soldier kills Howard Stark and his mom. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Howard Stark and his wife.
And his wife.
I'm sorry.
This is supposed to be like a year before that.
Yeah.
Okay. But Hank says when he's talking to Hope, when she says, "This is where you work," he was like, "Yeah, not anymore. But this is where I used to work." So he's already quit at this point.
So then this must be after he quit then.
Okay.
Yeah. Right after.
Yeah, or it could be different timeline wise as far as from what we know.
Yeah,
it could be off by a couple of years. But so you have Hank, you have Howard, you have Peggy Carter, you have Foster.
Is it Ben? Not Ben.
Ben Foster.
Ben Foster, which again, I don't really remember Ant-Man 2 that much. So up until people mention it, I completely forget that Lawrence Fishburne was in that movie. And I'm like, wait, I don't remember anything about this character. This episode kind of helped refresh it a little bit, but I'm going to have to go back and rewatch Ant-Man 2. I see that now.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
I don't, but it will
gives you
help.
nothing.
I'm gonna
gives
have
you
to look.
nothing.
I'm probably gonna have to rewatch it anyway for trivia in a few weeks. So
Look, okay, so
That's
but
true.
it's like Bill Foster really. I mean, the
Bill
only thing,
Foster,
only
that's
role
his
he
name.
had, Bill Foster. The only role he had was basically trying to help Ghost. They didn't really go into him being Goliath and really show him getting bigger. So it's like he really didn't have the role that he has in this. So it's not
Okay,
really the same.
because I was like, did I really forget that much? Because I didn't remember any of that as far as his character goes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean,
you forgot.
they
It was
they
briefly
basically just
mentioned.
kind of they kind of mentioned him just because.
Because there was like a scene where he's like, "Yeah, 21 feet was my record. That was like the biggest he ever got." And that
Okay,
was like
I do remember
Yeah.
mentioned.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was
Like if you're done
mentioned.
comparing sizes, yeah, which they
Yeah.
actually went back to in this card in here.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, so Bill Foster, you have Wendy Lawson, who at this point in this timeline is a known Kree Star Force member. You have Bucky the Winter Soldier looking
Wait,
as
I
young.
don't think she hadn't revealed herself as a
Yes, she
Kree.
did.
She
Because
did?
when she was introduced
I mean,
as
she
Air
told
Force,
them.
yeah, when Peggy introduced her as Air Force, Hank said that doesn't look like your standard Air Force uniform. She said it's not. It's Kree Star Force.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
missed that.
yep, and then you have King T'Chaka,
Mhm.
a very young King T'Chaka.
The guy that voiced him is the same guy that played him in the first Black Panther. That's what I was going to say.
And I was gonna say
Okay.
this is around the same time. It's either right before he went to and killed his brother.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it's
Spoiler.
it's a little bit before. Yeah.
Yeah. Spoiler.
Even know
Oh
if we
yeah.
need to say spoiler at this time. Like that
You
reveal was
never
how many
know.
years ago?
There's some people who haven't watched Black Panther. I
Yes.
mean, come on.
Yeah, sorry, spoiler. King T'Chaka is the douchebag. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, Pete, he did call him king. I was like, was he Prince T'Chaka?
No, he
King.
was king at
Yeah,
this
he's
point.
King T'Chaka.
Yeah, because
No,
they also mentioned something about how his father was a great ally or something like that. So yeah.
We
Okay,
find out where they
I'm
got the vibranium for the shield from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. One real quick. I'm looking at King T'Chaka killed Killmonger's dad in 92. So this is 4 years before that.
4 years. Okay.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so this is the Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the 1988 version of, pre-Avengers, if you will.
Man, oh, can we talk about how how heartbreaking it was to see Peggy see Bucky's eyes and recognize him. It was like it's like and
She was
Howard
like,
saying, even if it is him, that's still not him technically,
yeah.
because they've much they've done for him. I mean, that had to be really hard, like ethically and just regular, to actually work with him, because he's done some unspeakable shit as the Winter Soldier. And it's like, we got to work with him. It's like, and at this time, this is like 1988, the thick of Russia, like we're still in the throes of the Cold War between Russia and the United States. So it's like, this is like really tough for them to get through things like that and still be able to work with him, knowing that, and not really being able to trust him fully, because he's Russian, and he's like, we're like, oh, he's probably a spy. He's probably going to go off the rails and do some bullshit. So we got to either watch him or which yes, he ends up doing. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, but I think Howard knew that it was prepared for that, because he was able to tap into that, which we'll get to later. But it's like, it's good to have people like Howard, who actually, like a Stark, that thinks about things like this and can actually keep you prepared for it at some point.
I found it funny the number of times Howard had to talk about how much Tony thought he was a dick.
It's not. Yeah, it's not really shocking.
It's not, but it's like so. So I know that Howard Stark did have a little bit of a sense of humor. I mean, Tony had to get it from somewhere, right? But it's like I think in my mind, I'm more used to the older Howard that's kind of a little more, I don't know, a little more stoic as opposed to, let's say, Dominic Cooper's version of
Right.
Howard Stark.
Because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and First Avengers, he was hilarious. He was
Yeah.
straight up
and Agent Carter, he was fucking hilarious too.
Yeah, but when I think about Howard Stark, I think about, I guess because I for the most part, I look at Howard Stark from Tony's point of view. And Tony, whenever you see Tony have his flashbacks about his dad is always like very very disapproving, very, not the same way he is when he's not with Tony. So that's kind of always the image I have of him in my mind. So looking at him in this one as the older version, Howard, but with the younger version's sense of humor, that was kind of strange for me, at least. And then again, the other thing that we talk about with this What If series is when you see different people who are who in the regular MCU movies aren't together or don't have any kind of history or camaraderie, and you see them put together in this What If series, and it kind of makes sense. Like Thor, what was he even doing here?
Literally out of nowhere. Right. Out of nowhere.
But again, it still kind of fits because Thor just, I don't know, something about Thor and his personality and his humor. I feel like he can fit in with anybody. You know what I'm saying? And so
because he doesn't change. It's like he's still basically the same. He's the same as in the first Avengers and the first Thor. It's like he still has like that kind of he got that kind of an outsider view where he's just like where like the part where he's sitting in the cafe in the first Thor, he's like, "This is great, another." And it's like, he kind of fit. He kind of knows he doesn't fit, but he doesn't care. He knows that he stands out, but he kind of likes standing out.
I don't think
that's who he is.
I don't think he knows he doesn't fit.
I
don't think he
realizes that. I think he knows. He might not fully realize, but he kind of knows that he stands out. Maybe not necessarily that he doesn't fit. He knows that he stands out, and he likes that. You say that.
Yeah. I could go for that. I mean, I think also with the change of in his, I don't want to say his personality, but when we first meet him in the first Thor movie and stuff, he's very arrogant. He's more arrogant than he is humble. But I think what we see of him after that movie, even through all of, with all of his trials and tribulations and everything, losing his parents and losing his brother 50 million times and all this other stuff, I think that version of Thor just, he takes things seriously, but he doesn't at the same time. Like he's learned to look at things with a little more, I don't know, but something about that in his personality makes it so that he fits in with everybody. I mean, and it could be getting along with everybody. It could be like you had Bill and Hank and even Howard, they have their little banter and back and forth because Hank is obviously not thrilled to have to be here with them. And they're all giving him a hard time about it. I mean, what was it that Wendy called him? She said, "Oh, you're going to be what did she say? You're
curmudgeonly."
That wasn't the word. It was shorter. It wasn't cringy. It was, I don't remember. But she gave, he was giving them.
You say crotchety, like a crotchety
maybe, yeah.
Something like that. But I don't think that was the word. I just can't remember what it was. I know it starts with a C. I'll think about it. But
curmudgeon.
It's like crusty. That's what she called him.
Crusty.
Yeah. She was calling him crusty. But you have all of them with all of these different personalities and all of these different issues or whatever. And of course, now they have to come together and try to figure this thing out, try to figure out what's going on with this kid, who he is, what he's doing. And, they realize that Peter is going to different planets and basically annihilating the planets. So, of course, they're looking at him as a threat. Little Hope, though. Hope, she steals her dad's security card. She makes her way in there and she just talks to Peter like a regular kid. And it's so interesting how instinctive she is because she realizes that this is a kid who is by himself. And so she goes in and she uses music, 80s music, which,
shout out to Corey Hart. Hart's Never Surrender. I love that song.
Right. I was sitting here when she was singing it. I was like, wait, what? Like, what?
Get those streams up, Mr. Hart. That's right. That's what's up. Get them streams up.
Deep recesses of hell did they have to go to find that song?
It's a great fucking song, though. It's awesome.
It is, but I have not. You can't say that you've heard it since the 80s.
No, but I mean, there's a whole plethora of songs they could have pulled up that are just would have blown your mind. They try. I mean, at least they went with one that the older geeks like us would be like, "Oh, that's the song," and other geeks would kind of look up and be like, "Oh, that's kind of a cool song." It's kind of a middle ground song that's kind of cool that no one that's not overly harsh, like a B-52 song or like something like The Clash or some shit like that. It's just like, okay, just ease it in.
Yeah. But of course, 80s music saves the day, which of course our generation, we already know this.
Yeah.
But so Hope basically she goes in and she talks to Peter. And she's the one that finds out, hey, I just wanted to come home to try to feel close to my mom so I wouldn't feel all alone. My dad is the one who has me doing all of this stuff. And it's the kid, it's Hope who talks to the grown-ups. And she was like, look, this is not Peter's doing. You guys have to help him. It's his dad. And they talk about the seedling, which is so immature of me. But when Thor brings the seedling, and he was like, this is the seedling. It has Ego's essence, and he's been planting them around planets. It sounds just as creepy as it did in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. It sounds just as creepy. Like y'all couldn't figure out any other way to word that to make that a thing. It just sounds, it's very creepy. It's very creepy.
Nah.
It's interesting how Howard suggests they throw it down the garbage disposal, which is what Tony said about the Tesseract. Oh no, the Time Stone. He said about the Time Stone.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's
I just thought it was cool that it was like a bunch of the parents of the Avengers that we know and love.
Right. Or people who have that experience. Like, it's so funny because Wendy was like, you really think, the whole thing is they're trying to, they're going to try to convince Peter to help them fight his dad. And she was like, you really think a kid is really is going to kill his dad? And Hank was like, Wendy, you don't have
children, do you?
Because I was like, if she has listened to Hank and to Howard at all in this episode, Wendy's probably thinking, I will never have children in my life. Ever. Ever. Because Tony is around what age at this time? He's probably like
18.
18, okay. Because he was he 19 when his parents died? I thought he was a little bit younger than that.
I think he was 19.
He might be 15, because wasn't he?
I don't, well,
this is the easy thing to look up.
Rebellious teen. Let's just put it like that. But I thought it was very interesting that they mentioned the Celestials in this, even though they're only talking about Ego, because I was like, okay, are they going to throw any other Celestials in here later on? Because we do have a season 3 coming up, which unfortunately is the last season. But
So his birthday is listed is May 29th, 1970. And the parents were killed in 91. So he was
He was
21.
21.
Okay, so he was 18 in this episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, typical rebellious teen, can't stand his dad.
A typical rebellious genius teen.
Genius
Exactly.
teen.
Telling
Yes.
his dad what for. So
But
it
anyway,
makes me
so
think of the hologram, the brain thing he used.
Yeah, Bart.
yes.
Yeah, Bart.
Yeah, and that and again, so that's kind of when I think about Howard Stark, for some reason that's the first thing I think of. Like
Mhm.
I don't think about the younger Howard Stark. I don't think about, World Expo Howard Stark. I don't think about any of those Howard Starks, the funny Howard Stark. I think of the old, disapproving, Tony felt like he never measured up to him. And then I also think about when he went back to try to get the stones and he ran into his father. And, Howard was excited about becoming a dad, even though he was like low key excited. He wasn't, the animated excited, but he was like, yeah, my wife's about to have a baby. And, I just want to make sure he's going to be good. I'd do anything for that kid. Things that Tony, that when you look at the Iron Man movies and you see Tony's recollections of his dad, you feel like Tony never heard that enough from Howard. So that's always what I think of when I think of Howard Stark, before I think of the younger, more, flirty with Peggy for, the first part of Captain America. I don't think about that type of, that Howard. But Hope is
I hardly ever think about the younger one. I do think about the older one a lot, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, it's just it's weird. It's weird. But Hope is the one, like I said, she's the one that basically schools the adults about Peter and about ego and about, hey, I'll tell you guys where Peter went, but you have to help him. And so that's what she does. She tells them, and Hank and Wendy go to Missouri and they find Peter at his mom's grave, just kind of sitting there feeling sad because he's all alone. Like I think he was excited about meeting his dad. But then once he realized what ego did, I mean, like the first thing he does when he meets his son, Peter has the Walkman, and we all know how extremely important that Walkman is to Peter Quill. What's the first thing Ego does when he gets it? Oh, son, you don't need this anymore. And he destroys it, turns it into the ball of what I was like, okay.
Well, he did the same thing. He did the same thing in the movie.
Yeah, he crushed it.
He crushed it.
Yeah, but Peter was an adult at that point.
But it still had the same meaning to him.
But I mean, that's why I was
had the same meaning to him.
Yeah. So when you see him do it in here, I was like, okay. So he's gonna be the same asshole as he was in films. Okay, that's cool. So I actually thought that they were gonna make Peter evil in this one. And you see that he's not evil, he's just a scared little boy. Like, one, he misses his home because after he attacks Manhattan, which again, they attacked him first. So it's kind of like, that's what you get for attacking a being that you don't know how powerful he is. What does he do? He goes to Coney Island. He plays games. He wins a stuffed animal. He gets on the Tilt-A-Whirl. Like he's trying to.
He ain't win shit. He took that damn thing and blew up the rest. He ain't win a damn thing.
Well, I mean, he did play the games.
Tomatoes. He may have felt he deserved it.
He played I'm superpowered. I'm taking this Rocket Raccoon looking one and I'm blowing all the rest of them up.
Well, I mean,
I win.
Yeah. but he was there trying to have some semblance of a childhood, because you can imagine if you meet your father and the first thing he does is turn you into an interplanetary killer, you got some trauma that needs to be unpacked.
Yeah.
And this is what he's trying to do. And I feel like they were off to a good start when they were trying to talk to him, at least when King T-Chaka was trying to talk to him. I feel like he could have gotten off into a good start up until he put him in that hall of mirrors and the laser cut off the head of that stuffed animal, and then I was like, oh, y'all done pissed him off now. Like he's like,
No, it's like
Hank
I mean,
didn't help. It was Hank chasing him with a whole bunch of ants,
yeah,
popping
that
the
shit was
lights
creepy as
like we're in a
fuck.
horror movie. That's
Yeah,
terrifying.
I was like, yeah, that shit gave me the creepy crawlies to me. I was like,
Right. Each light is
no,
bursting as you walk by. That's only seen in horror
nah,
movies. And then you're chased by a swarm
right?
of ants. Do you know when you're a boy, a little boy, a teenage boy, what ants do to you? Like, you know how many ant beds I've ended up in? No, that's terrifying. No, I don't want to be chased by a bunch of flying ants.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, like clearly Hank does not know what to do with children. I mean, by his own admission. I mean, think about it. The episode starts with him and Hope. He's feeding her dinner. She's like, there's no vegetables on this plate. He said they're potato chips, so technically it's a vegetable. She's like, oh. I'm like, why is Hope acting like the adult in this relationship?
But she is basically.
I know.
Well,
but I mean,
most little girls end up being with single dads end up running shit anyway somehow.
Well, you know that whole gender construct thing, whatever. But yeah. So obviously he doesn't know how to relate to these children. T-Chaka seemed like he had a little bit. He could have been a little more successful, like I said, up until the stuffed animal's head was lasered off, and then at that point you just pissed the little boy off. So he's gonna treat you like a fly, and that's literally what he did. He basically threw King T'Chaka way across the amusement park. But
T'Challa would have been 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, he knows something about kids.
Yeah. And I mean, even though we know what King T'Chaka did as far as his brother and abandoning Killmonger, aside from that, we've never seen any indicate like he seemed like he was one of those parents who absolutely adored his kids. His kids absolutely adored him. So I feel like he could have gotten through to Peter here if, you know, like you said, Peter wasn't already scared. Like he's already come to this planet just trying to connect with his mother, and he's been shot out of the sky. He's had guns pointed at him. You know, he's been attacked. He's been chased by ants and this weird, you know, this weird little voice that's in his cotton candy. So, you know, yeah, he might not be the most receptive. I think T'Chaka could have done it, but I mean, at this point, once Hank finds him at the grave and starts talking to him, I was like, okay, so Hank, you do show that you do have a little bit of good sense, because he starts talking to people like, hey, okay, you know, he's relating to him. Hey, I know what it's like to grieve, and I know what it's like to lose someone and feel like that you're alone and that you don't know what to do, because we felt the same way with Hope's mom. And you can kind of see that taking the edge off of Peter, where he's not so distrustful of Hank.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got Bucky in the goddamn bushes.
I was gonna say, meanwhile, Bucky's got this dude in the crosshairs,
right,
itching to pull the trigger.
Because his people who are controlling him as the Winter Soldier are telling him to eliminate this threat. And I was just like, are we about to see a fight between Peter Quill and Bucky? Because I don't know exactly how that would go down at this point.
It wouldn't go well for Bucky.
It's not.
It would no, it wouldn't have lasted 5 seconds. The whole episode, and this is again with the first one too. Every episode seems like it was not based off of or modeled after, would probably be a better word, of something reminiscent of the era of the genre. This felt like a very mid-level B 80s movie to me, almost.
Yeah, that sounds right. That's what they were going for.
Yeah. It was because in the 80s, we had all these movies, and they used to have this thing, the after school specials where they would have the different things, and it felt very much like the kid's orphan. He's going to pack up his backpack. he's going to go and he's going to find his mom or he's going to find his dad, and he has adventures along the way. And it was basically this, except for this kid is supercharged. So yeah, I mean, like I said, the tone was very interesting, and I thought the thing that got me is that all the adults, except for a few things, they didn't stop and think. Like Hanako said, this is a kid. They saw enemy,
Mm-hmm.
and if it wasn't for hope, but seeing Bucky, and I'm going to tell you guys, I honestly thought he was going to shoot. I did. I didn't think
Oh,
that he was going to hesitate.
absolutely.
I thought that kid was a goner.
Nah, that would not. I didn't think that was gonna happen. It's
You
like
didn't think so?
no, because it's like because if he would have he was gonna shoot him. I think those if they wouldn't have let Howard talk to him if he wasn't gonna talk him down. I just think that
But
if he was
Howard,
gonna
no one knew that Howard was gonna. Howard was the one who figured out that Bucky might not be there under diplomatic
right.
circumstances.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I was saying before. It's like, at that point, no one in the United States was gonna trust anybody from Russia coming over saying they're gonna help. And
mhm.
not to mention the fact that he is a killer. That he is a documented
Yes.
like mercenary killing machine for the Soviets. There's no reason you need to trust him with a pastrami sandwich and think he couldn't kill you with it.
Yeah,
There's
we,
no
we're
reason
we're
for you
going
to do
we're
that.
going to offer assistance by sending the number one assassin in the world.
Right.
Right.
But I
Okay.
mean,
You think you're not going to be
again,
keeping an extra eye on him? Absolutely.
but again, they don't know what they're facing. It's aliens, and if you think about it, with what Lori just said, as far as it being the 80s and the movies, I mean, think about it. This is the era of aliens. This is the era of ET. This is the era of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So maybe they're in that mind frame, because of course when you look at all the 80s movies dealing with aliens, except for ET, they're all hostile. And even in the beginning, they didn't know, the grown-ups, again, the grown-ups didn't know that ET was harmless. It took Elliot and Gertie to be like, yeah, he's okay. So, I just think it's like sometimes the adults just need to listen to the kids. But also, why are you if you see that this is a child, maybe try
Mm-hmm.
to, I don't know, maybe try to reach out to that child and say, hey, kid, is everything okay? Are you okay? Is there something we can help you with? Because maybe if they had done that first, which again, I know is unrealistic, because this is a child that came out of the sky. They're not going to be
Yes.
that welcoming. I mean, hell, people nowadays, they're not even welcoming to people who come from other countries, but that's a whole other subject. So they're definitely
Mm-hmm.
not going to be like that for somebody who's flying out of the sky. But I don't know. I just feel like this could have gone, like, how many people did Peter Quill kill in the beginning before they figured out, oh, this kid just needs a family. He just needs someone to get him away from his psychomaniac father, you know? But ego.
Yeah, but it's like you kind of. I mean, there's no going back to it. It's like there's no reason to trust him. But it's like, but I don't know. I just feel like,
It's that double-edged
especially,
sword. It's like damned
yeah,
if you do, damned if you don't. Like, you want to look at him and think, oh, he's a kid, he's innocent. But when he's walking out of a spacecraft and he's got glowing eyes, it's kind of hard to keep that in the forefront. You're in attack mode at that point. You're on the
yeah, because like I
defensive.
mean, if you think about it, this is kind of all. I mean, because well, Pegasus really like jumped the gun on this a lot because it's like I mean, Peggy was like, shoot it down. They're like, okay, it's entering our atmosphere. What are you gonna do? Shoot it down before it gets in Earth's atmosphere. It's like not even. I mean, but then on the other hand, I think they said that they tried to communicate with it. So it's like if it didn't communicate with you and it's still headed towards Earth,
Mm-hmm.
what are you gonna do? You're gonna let it land? You gonna let it hit something and kill people, or are you gonna try to take it out before it does? I mean,
Yeah.
it was kind of a double-edged sword, like you said. Like damned if you do, and hurt if you don't. So it's like
Yeah.
pick your poison.
But also, like, thinking back to what you were saying, Anthony, as far as like when we were talking about the whole alien invasion thing, you were like, but they haven't really had any experience with aliens up, at this point. Maybe not aliens, but they do have the Tesseract. They do know that the Tesseract is not of this earth. And they did have to deal with, at least from what I can tell, in this timeline, they still lost Captain America. So chances are Red Skull was still involved, and he may not have been alien, but there was something otherworldly about him. So maybe that was enough to make them say, you know what? We're not going to welcome this one with open arms. We don't know what's going on.
Again, if a spacecraft is coming into your atmosphere, it has traversed solar winds, all kinds of radiation.
Yeah.
It's going to be heavily, heavily fortified and armored. All you're going to do is knock it off its course and kill people. Then whatever's in there has technology that's way more advanced than yours.
Right.
Or it's going to be a very powerful being. Because
he really could have walked off that spaceship and eliminated the Earth.
Yes, he could.
I mean, and basically all you did was piss it off.
That wasn't his purpose.
Yeah,
it's like all you did was piss off this person with advanced alien technology, and you have no idea if it can disintegrate. If it could just disintegrate like city blocks with ease, or if it can or what it can do. You don't know its capabilities. All you know is you're trying to shoot
you
up the
didn't
air.
even know that the amount of power and energy that are required to traverse space, if you blow it up, that could destroy a whole lot of shit. Like, you don't know what kind of power source it has.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there were a lot of questions. That I know it's a TV show, I know it's fiction, but I'm just saying there are some things that should have been considered when they were writing this. Like, how feasible is this realistically? But I think they wanted to make him seem like he was evil at first and then slowly reveal that he wasn't.
Right.
And the only way they could do that was have us fire the first shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would explain why he came out wrecking shit.
Eyes blazing. Yep.
Right.
Because, I mean, if you think about it, so if you're talking about not even an invasion, okay, an alien coming to the Earth, we have seen movies and TV shows where you follow it one way or you follow it another way. Neither way ever works out, because if you think about it, Independence Day, they tried to make friendly contact with the aliens first and got shot and got shot out of the sky.
Shoot, Mars Attacks. They tried to make friendly contact, and everybody got blasted.
Yeah. So it's again the whole damned if you do, damned if you don't.
First of all, did you expect anyone to live through Mars Attacks? Really?
No, I really didn't. I know everybody was dead.
Just to be clear, any alien race that comes to our planet is not coming here to make friends.
No.
So I understand. I understand the desire to attack first, but in all those events, but in all these events, we've seen that it's futile because their technology is far more superior than anything.
You mean so the resistance is futile? Is what you're saying?
Yes, resistance.
It is.
Futile.
I'm sorry, you left yourself wide open for that one.
It was right there.
Well, I appreciate that, because you're exactly right. Resistance is futile. We've all seen V. They're here for our resources.
They should teach that in school.
What was that Daniel Craig movie where the aliens were here for the gold? What was that? That Western.
Oh, the Cowboys.
Yeah, Cowboys and Aliens.
Cowboys and Aliens.
Oh, I forgot about that movie.
My soul couldn't watch that. They should teach V in schools. Seriously, that should be part of the curriculum as far as
the old V or the new V.
The old V. Scare them. Scare them. Let them know aliens are not our friends.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not.
Unless they're Thor.
That was a fantasy. That doesn't count.
Look, unless they're Thor.
What?
Thor's an alien and he's our friend.
Thor's not an alien.
They're not. I think that's debatable.
No, he's not. He's from Midgard. He's part of the realm of the
It's a
different.
different.
Yeah,
It's like a different.
Stargate Store is an alien.
That's different. The Asgardians were
Look,
aliens.
they were lucky when Thor showed up. Okay, they were like, "Oh, good, Thor's here. He can solve problems." He was helpful. Didn't help much in Stargate Atlantis. So now I think about it. But anyway, the thing
The
is
Asgardians were some busters in Stargate, so let's not go there right now.
yeah, they weren't. Yeah, well, I'm gonna actually agree with you on that. Um, the thing is that the whole we see aliens aliens do not come in peace, okay? And the fact that we as a society on every show fall for it most of the time, and then only when they are growing out of the back of our neck or they've taken over, we're pod people, do we look at each other and go, you know what, might be a problem. I'm just saying.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
The only alien that's ever been somewhat okay with us was Doctor Who, and sometimes I think his motives are questionable.
Did you see the Christmas special? That's all I'm saying.
Not yet.
Oh well, you need to see that. Did you see the Giggle? The episode with Neil Patrick Harris?
No.
Oh, you're in for a treat. Well, I agree with you on that because it depends on what mood the doctor's in that day sometimes. But the other thing is that when you go back to the 80s, and this is clearly set in the 80s, and they kind of mushed two things together. They mushed together the alien, they mushed together the kid, orphan thing, and then they tried to make it work in such a way that you would feel sorry for him, but you also want him to get help. And I liked how they did with Hope because that was very 80s where the girl or another kid befriends the weird, strange kid. They become friends and then they say, oh, hey, all along he was wrong. It was like I said, it reminded me of just about, what was the movie with the kids that were hackers? Not hackers.
Hackers?
That wasn't, no, the other one. The one where they were the spies.
I know which one you're talking about.
Not Sneakers. They weren't.
No, not Sneakers. No,
not Sneakers. No, they were adults.
One of the Coreys was in it.
War Games.
Yes, there you go.
Oh
yes. This reminds me a little bit of like War Games, a little bit in tone.
Shall we play a game? That was a great movie.
It was phenomenal. But yeah, so
that thermonuclear war.
But yeah, this whole thing, like I said, the whole theme that they're running with, where everything is sort of based on, it was sort of like, this is gonna sound weird, it was sort of comforting watching it because you kind of knew where the beats were going to hit. There wasn't any surprises in this episode, whereas later on down the road with other episodes, I was going, but this one wasn't even concerned about no one getting killed, wasn't concerned about no one getting shot in space, wasn't concerned about the kids. I was like, oh, they'll be fine. Just go through the story. They'll be fine.
Worried for a minute because, when they're sitting there fighting Ego and all of his duplicates and the mountain Ego and all this other stuff, I'm worried about some of them. I was like,
that was so dope. I mean, it's like even when Ego was like when he arrived and he was walking and the small rocks were just like hovering around him. I was just like, oh, that's some badass. Oh, some badassery's getting ready to fucking happen now.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
because I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that a character has died in What If. I didn't know what to expect. I was like, okay, so maybe they're gonna kill a few of these people, and that's what's gonna be what sets Peter off. Thankfully, they didn't have to go to that extreme, and they were able to get to Peter in a more more humane way, let's say. But I just a little bit.
Speaking of expecting, what did Thor expect was going to happen when he jumped at Ego? Like, he really expected to land that hammer strike. Ego just looked at him and was like, really? And literally expanded a column of rock to knock his ass out. I was like, what did you expect? Like,
well, I mean, one, I don't think even with Thor's vast knowledge of the universe, I'm not sure he's ever come across something like ego before. And
Well, he
again,
knows Ego destroyed Asgard and Jotunheim,
yeah.
Yeah.
so
And
that should be sufficient notice.
yeah, I mean that he
To
was
not just jump at him in midair and expect to land and hit and land a strike on him. Like,
but I
But
mean
it
think
is
about it.
also Thor, who
Yeah,
also has a huge ego.
yeah, that
yeah,
too, but
but
also this is the Thor who has won thousands of battles and probably has never come across someone as formidable as Ego up till this point. At least not this version of Thor. So
But
he
again,
probably, I
the
mean, think about
destruction of Asgard and Jotunheim should be noticed enough.
well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, I think he probably didn't think about the fact that this thing might be more powerful than me. One, he's Thor. Two, he has his anger about his home being destroyed. So those are probably maybe in his mind that's enough for him to destroy Ego. But again, like he doesn't realize the scope of Ego's power at this point, So when he goes to attack him, he probably thinks, oh yeah, I'm about to destroy him. And probably very rightly so at that point, because he probably hasn't come across anyone that powerful.
Now, I will say, if it was comic book Thor and Odin was dead, he would have had the Odin Force. He probably would have been able to take a Celestial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
but also, I mean, shout out to his. I didn't know. I admittedly, I'm not an authority on Thor lore, but I never knew that when he recalled Mjolnir and it came to his hand, if he could make it hit his hand with so much force that he could clear out an area around him like he did.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually pretty badass.
He did it in one of the movies, if I'm not
No,
mistaken.
I don't remember seeing it, like him catching it and like boom, like clearing out an area around him.
I want to say he did that when he landed. Well, let me see. Nope, because he didn't have that when he went to Wakanda. Sure, he's done that in the movies though.
No, I don't think he has. Not in that way.
I just thought it was
If he
badass.
had, it would have been probably in Captain America: First Avenger. Not Captain America: First Avenger. It would have been, when did they attack Sokovia?
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that in the first Thor movie when they were on the planet battling the rock. Oh,
when they were in Vanaheim?
Yeah. I think he did it then.
Okay. You know how long it's been since I've seen that movie?
Well, I watched it a few.
We just watched it a few weeks ago for
we had
trivia.
Trivia, so
yeah.
But yeah, I think he's done it before. So
all right, I'll go back and look at it.
I think it's gotten bigger as far as the space that he clears. But yeah, I think he's done it. I think he's done it before.
I'd go back and look at that movie again.
Yeah, but so the family shawarma scene at the end. That's what I was thinking of. After Peter has to kill his father, and he basically, I guess Hank is adopting him. He's going to stay with Hank and Hope now, and they have the little family scene, and you still have them having their little banter back and forth. I'm sure at this point Lawson is looking at all these grown men going back and forth with this banter, and she's like, what is wrong with these earth men? What is wrong with them? But okay, so explain to me, because again, I don't really remember Ant-Man 2. Bill Foster's relationship to Hank, that were they partners?
Yeah, they were friends.
Okay.
And I think Bill worked for him.
So where does
a scientist?
Because there's a little bit of animosity with them in this episode too. I think even though it's kind of humorous, I think at this point Hank is just irritated with all of them. Does it all have to do with the fact that Janet was gone? Like, was Bill a part of that as well?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Okay. So Hank
I
is
think
probably
theirs was more professional.
okay.
It was professional like competition that
Yeah.
wasn't so friendly.
Because they were, if I'm not mistaken, they were studying because they knew the pin particles can make you shrink. They were working on making them make you expand.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Bill was a part of that research.
Oh, okay.
That's how he became Giant Man. So,
Okay. Okay.
but I think a lot of it is just ego and professional. Like Bill thinks he's smarter than Hank, and Hank thinks he's smarter than Bill. I mean, it's just one of those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just trying to figure that out. But so yeah, I really did like this episode. Um it was interesting, like you said, Mike, for them to have Peggy recognize Bucky because again, you know, when we watched the Winter Soldier, the film, of course, Peggy at this point, she's not, she's old or, I'm trying to
Right.
remember, had she died at this point?
No, she
No,
died
she
in
hadn't
Civil
died
War.
yet, but she was older, so she would have had no reason to see him or they never played that card about the rumors about it being Bucky. I
Right.
think that was a little more specific in this episode because she literally was like, Howard, it really does look like Bucky. And then when he said, well, if the rumors are true, that's not the Bucky that we knew. And again, I had to remind myself, I was like, oh yeah, he did know Bucky too.
Yeah.
I tell you, I always forget about young Howard. I always think about the old mean, this is why Tony needs severe therapy, Howard. That's the only one I ever think of. But
Yeah.
Um again, I think they're doing a really, really good job with these episodes.
It's actually a little bit. They're starting a little bit better than they did last year. I think it's like I feel like these first two, especially the first one, is so out of character. Like for it to be doing the whole noir themed like gritty detective thing with it was
Right.
just so out of the box that it was just incredible. I think they're starting off really good on this one. Shout out for Peter using the use case spirit gun from Yu Yu Hakusho on Ego at the end. I thought that was pretty cool. Like, bring a little anime into it. I was looking at when he was doing that, I was like, that looks so fucking familiar. I was like, it's fucking Yu Yu Hakusho. I'm like, see, they're just bringing all kinds of other stuff into it. Um, uh, Shout out to them really hitting the mark on this episode for getting the majority of people in this episode who actually voiced the character that they voiced in live action or another thing. Like almost everybody in this episode voiced that character that they voiced somewhere else or played the character on screen. So they did a really good job of transferring that. And the people that they didn't, it was kind of flawless.
It was.
It was
It
really good.
was
It
because I
sounded
had to
really
go
good.
look at some of the I had to go look at the voice cast because I was like, now I know such and such didn't come back for this, but it's like they've done a very good job with matching the voices for the ones who didn't come back.
Right.
Yeah, it's been like there are a couple of instances where I'm like, wow, that's really like the guy who's doing Tony Stark's voice
Is fucking phenomenal.
it's so weird because I'm like, I know RDJ didn't come back for this because he said he was
I
going with
literally
Iron
see.
Man.
I'm almost of the mind of having a conspiracy theory about it actually being RDJ under an assumed name, like where it's like an Andy Kaufman thing where he goes in disguise on stage so that people don't recognize him. I'm like, he's trying to hoodwink us. I think it's really because he's doing a great fucking job. Like it literally sounds like RDJ. I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah, but I mean, let's see. They got Michael Douglas back, Haley Atwell,
Lawrence Fishburne.
John
It
Slattery,
was,
Kurt Russell.
just to put get Lawrence Fishburne in as Goliath is just like that's like that's attention to detail. Like it's like they could have really gotten anyone else who sounds like him to do it. They're like, no, what's Lawrence doing? Let's get him in here. Let's get him in the closet. Tell him to record. Tell him to say these lines so we can get this done.
Yeah.
And
John,
I appreciate that.
And they paid they paid the money.
That okay, so that was going to be my other thing, because I'm like, with just the veteran actors that you have on this particular episode, you got Michael Douglas, Kurt Russell, Lawrence Fishburne, just those three alone. What in the world was your budget for your cast?
Well, we don't know if their contracts for the movies include clauses about doing the voiceovers for the shows.
I was about to say that that could have been it too.
And they could have just paid them scale, because it wasn't that much work to do anyway.
Yeah.
So those two things would have kept your budget down already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be one of those things like Anthony said, but it also could be more encompassing than that, because if you're looking at some of these contracts that they have, it's likeness, it's everything from the toy lines to commercials to everything. So whatever they are represented as, say, Ant-Man, in all things Marvel, advertising, cartoons, movies, I think that the contracts were big enough that it covered everything. I mean, I'm using an example here. When Sam Jackson showed up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a few times, he just didn't stroll up. They didn't call him and say, "Hey, what you doing on Tuesday?" No, that was contracted part of his contract. So I think that, because remember, what was it, Anthony? About 7 years ago, they announced how many millions each person was signed to and for how long for the Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
And they had this big photo shoot with everyone there. And they basically said, this is the richest cast that you'll ever see in your life, because X amount of person got X amount of money.
Yeah. So, she's right. The only people who bailed were RDJ and Chris Evans.
Yeah,
they're the only ones that they like. RDJ only does points, so he's only going to get paid for stuff he's in. So they don't have to contract him to be in stuff.
Okay.
And I don't know if Chris Evans was doing points, but I know he contracted, I think, after the Captain America stuff, it was like individual movies. Like, he didn't do long-term deals like Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
And neither did what's her name?
Scarlett.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, and the thing is, those guys are young enough that, not that they would get typecast, but they're young enough in age that they could have gone on to other stuff. Because didn't Chris Evans do that Onion Glass movie thing?
Glass Onion,
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie yet. But other stuff that's not just Marvel. Whereas Sam Jackson, he's in his 70s. This is a good little cash cow for him later in life. So I guess that's the difference too, is because like Elizabeth Olsen, she's still young enough that this is just going to be like a chapter of what she did when she was in her late 20s, early 30s. I mean, 10 years from now she could be doing something completely different. So it depends on how much money you need, how much money they're paying you, and how much work you're willing to put out. Because Elizabeth Olsen, and I'm not saying to be funny, her family, because of a certain pair of sisters, has money, and they've had money for years, and so she may be in, because of family money, she may be in a better position to negotiate maybe not as much salary because she doesn't need the money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. You guys have any final thoughts on this episode on the Peter Quill?
I thought it was pretty good. It was very entertaining. It was cool, especially to see at the end the slow motion walk that Corey talked about.
I wonder how they're gonna put that in every episode now.
That's awesome. That'd be the best running joke ever. They totally should do that.
Like the posse slow mo walk.
Yeah. This is a great episode. I the more I look at it, the more I appreciate it. I think I thought this was kind of a down episode first time I watched it, but it's like the more I watch it, the more I pick out little things about it. Like I could appreciate like Hope's relationship with Peter is actually pretty cool, and I wouldn't mind seeing them grow, like seeing if there's like a universe where they actually grow together as friends, and like come and like grow up together. I think that'd be pretty cool. Um, it's really interesting seeing. I'm wondering if the way if since Howard Stark prevented him from shooting Peter and he went off on his own, like you almost kind of hope that that would have changed the outcome of him getting killed by the Winter Soldier, but he really doesn't have control once they say the 12 magic words. It's like it doesn't matter. Like if they find him, they say the magic words, then he doesn't have a choice but to comply because he hasn't been deprogrammed yet. So he could be free all he wants to. All he have to do is track him down. So
Yeah.
it's like you can't really get comfortable about thinking that he's going to change.
Yeah, but I think that the other difference with that in this one is maybe his confinement is a little bit different, because if you think about it, in the movies up to a Winter Soldier, he was basically a ghost. Like, there were rumors of this Winter Soldier. Nobody had ever seen him, you know? So the fact that they just all of a sudden they sent, oh yes, this is the world famous Winter Soldier. We're going to send him to help you deal with your alien issue. I don't really see them doing that like in the live action or anything close to that. So maybe it's a little bit different. The way that they kind of have control of him over, in this world, in this universe, so,
Oh.
but
Also,
maybe he wouldn't,
I don't
maybe
know.
he
I
wouldn't
think
kill
that,
Howard, or maybe he would kill Howard just because, oh, you made me fail my mission.
or he just doesn't know that he's doing it. Like he's like, maybe I was right, I don't do it. But then they say listen, longing in 23 boxcar skidoo or whatever the hell those words are. And he's like, he forgets all that shit. He's like, all right, what do you want me to do? Kill him. Okay. Doesn't matter. Also,
Burger
shout out
King,
to
French fries, closet,
Uh,
lassie.
hold the pickles, hold the lettuce. Yeah.
jeez.
Also, shout out to Marvel for making acronyms work no matter what, because Pegasus stands for Potential Energy
Potential
Group
energy.
Alternate Sources United States. They really wanted that to say Pegasus so fucking bad.
Mm.
They wanted it's just like the first episode of Agents of Shield when Wade was like, "What does Shield stand? What does Shield stand for?" And they told him, he was like, "Yeah, sounds like someone really wanted it to say wanted Shield to be Shield." It's like y'all really wanted that to say something, huh?
My
Yeah,
my hu-
I
Damn.
my
mean, they're
husband
really
used
good
to
with acronyms. They're really big
Yeah.
on them.
my husband used to carry around business cards with the full naming of Shield and hand it to people when they would ask him that question. So no, I didn't marry a nerd at all. Oh, Anthony's face!
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Processing that right.
Hey,
You can't say that's
I
not
aspire to that
awesome.
level of nerddom. I aspire to that level. I want to be that. I want to be that nerdy when I grow up. Shit.
Wait, you aren't now?
There are levels to this, Hanako. There are levels to this shit.
I thought we had hit like 90% of those levels.
Oh no.
Okay. The way that I haven't even met Mark, I know that I'm right here, and Mark's like right here, as far as I'm concerned. Like, I got shit to work on.
I had to listen to, what was it, 6 hours after we watched the Doctor Who Tennant and the Christmas special about the Christmas special. For 6 hours, he talked about it. 6 hours.
See?
And he refused to watch Doctor Who for an entire week until he calmed down, and now he's watching Baker again.
You guys really are perfectly paired.
Exactly.
First of all, let's talk about being married to a nerd who doesn't think she's a nerd. We're watching Percy Jackson. Who is Athena? And I tell her, oh, this is Athena. She's like, oh, we go to YouTube. 3-hour video on Greek gods.
I believe it.
Oh, wow. Wait, send me that link. Send me that link. I want to watch that.
She's watching She's watching this like, really? We're really sitting here watching this. Okay.
Oh, see,
Let her know there is
What are you
actually.
talking about? Greek
I need
mythology
that-
is awesome. I can watch
I
that.
need that link because
I am not gonna say I am the biggest mythology nerd on this podcast. I'm just gonna tell you that right now.
Mhm.
However,
Okay.
my wife claims that she is not. And trust me, she is a nerd. Okay, that's it. All I'm gonna say. I said it. I said it. Even though she's
Oh,
never
we
heard this
agree.
podcast.
we're
agree.
we're agreeing. We're
I'm
agreeing.
just saying.
Agree. I don't
I'm
know
not
why
arguing.
she
3
thinks that she's not a
hours of
nerd.
Greek
Like,
mythology.
I
It's
don't know
something I
where
would watch, and I am a nerd. I would watch it. I had no problem with it. It's just I'm sitting here like she really wants to watch this. This is interesting.
Yeah,
I
I don't
watched
know
the-
where she got that delusion that she's not. Like, I'm confused.
Just
I
tell
watched
her
Percy.
admission is the first step to cure.
This is true. I watched
wants to
Percy
be
Jackson
cured of
with
this?
I don't think there's a cure for it.
cured
I-
of thinking that you're not a nerd.
is
Oh.
you just give it up. I watched the original Percy Jackson movie over the holidays with my grandnephew and my niece, his mom, and we were watching it together on Amazon. We were talking on the phone while we were doing it, and I think I stopped every 5 seconds to explain the mythology. And my grandnephew, love him, he's 14, took notes. I was so proud. I
Oh,
was like,
yay.
oh. So yeah, but the thing is that when people say they're not a nerd, they're a nerd. They just don't want to admit it.
Yeah. That's pretty much. Yeah.
My thoughts on this episode is the final thoughts is 2 things. One, it was a good episode, but it is my least favorite episode of all the series. Second,
Okay.
I think that they did a good job, but honestly, I could have done without this episode, without the whole Peter Quill thing, because to me it was kind of boring. Considering what they did the rest of the season, they could have thrown in something else. Like somebody said that they would have liked to have seen this season, say a Spider-Man focused episode. They could have used this 22 minutes for something a little bit more than just Peter Quill, because it seemed like they were rehashing old stuff. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know about all that.
I can see your point, especially if you're looking at the season as a whole. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say much because I think Anthony is only up to like episode 5.
Oh, we're
So
done. We made it. We finished.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Finished it. Okay, cool.
so yeah, given those constraints, yes, I think I agree with you that this was probably, if I had to rank the episodes, this
Mhm.
would probably be at the bottom. That being said, I still feel like it was a really good episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't get to, like, we find out bits and pieces of Peter's background as a child in the Guardians films, but to see what he would have become if Ego had been more involved, it was kind of interesting. But I'm glad that, even though Ego tried to make him this homicidal whatever, to help him take over and just basically make everything in his own image. I like seeing that Peter's influence, with his mom and everything, that held out more so than anything else, because Peter came back to the planet initially because he missed his mom. He wanted to be, he wanted to feel closer to his mom. So I think eventually he probably would have been okay, because I don't think Ego would have been able to get rid of that part of him. I mean, think about it. He killed Peter's mom. He gave her the tumor because he felt like her influence over him was changing him. So yeah, I like seeing that version, but yeah, compared to the rest of the episodes, yeah, I agree with you. I, like I said, I do like seeing the different characters interact with each other and seeing a possibility of what those partnerships could have been like. I do wish we had seen like a younger Howard more in the MCU than we did. I think that would probably help with my perception of him, because again, I'm mostly basing my thoughts about him based on Tony's trauma and Tony's recollection of him. You know, maybe we'll see some more in season 3, because I don't know what direction they're going in yet for season 3. So
I liked seeing this version of T-Chaka. It was really
yeah,
cool.
that was fun. That was fun.
It was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
So,
but
I think it would be cool to see this version of like his father, the younger version, and see the things that he did, and like his father Azuri, like to see like generations of Black Panthers. I think that's what they're going to do with the series that's coming up. They're going to investigate that further.
Okay,
that would be cool. But and the thing is also, it would be cool if they just gave us more story building that is what's the word I'm trying to use? More story building that is sort of what people are not expecting to see, but it's not falling into the same type of trope every time, I guess is what I'm saying.
okay.
Yeah, I didn't really get that. It didn't come out quite as well.
I don't think you have to worry about that this season.
Yeah, but see, my thing is that I grew up reading What If, and I
Same.
know what it should be and shouldn't be. And even though I thought this season was really, really good, it didn't top the first season for me. It didn't.
Really?
I mean, that last episode did, and that other episode did, but other than that, yes.
We'll discuss that in more depth when we get to those episodes. So,
all right,
because I think because I see we might have a little bit of a divide here.
that's okay.
On that opinion. So, okay.
I think just because of one episode, which is a technically a what if episode, but kind of not a what if episode, is kind of the difference between this is one episode that is the difference between last season and this season that kind of changes the balance. And when we get there, I'll explain why it kind of is a what if episode, a traditional what if, and not really a traditional what if.
Yeah, because if it's the one episode you're thinking about, that episode blew me away.
It's a great fucking episode too.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll come back to this conversation when we get to those particular episodes, especially the one that I think both of you are referencing. I think it's the same one we're all thinking about.
Okay.
So we will circle back to that conversation. But for now, that's it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads. We now have a Blue Sky account, even though I haven't really done much with it, but we are there on Blue Sky. Everything's at Fandom Hybrid. You can watch our videos on our YouTube channel. You can chat with us on our Discord channel, and you can listen to us on all major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.